Hi everyone, Eugene Sachs here with another review from GameCritics.com. Arcade shooters are all about mastering each level and getting the highest score possible. With Star Fox recently being released for the Switch 2, I started getting the itch again, but didn't want to play the same story that I've played thousands of times before. Then Wild Blue Skies came out of nowhere. My hope was a different developer could bring something new to the table with a similar vibe. Wild Blue Skies is a 3D arcade-style on-rail shooter shown from behind the ship perspective, where players will control Bowie Stray, leader of the Blue Bombers. The evil General Grimclaw was banished in a war long ago, but when an army of robotic warships starts attacking the archipelago, everyone knows it's Grimclaw trying to return. It's up to Bowie and his team of ace fighter pilots to repel the mechanical army and stop Grimclaw once and for all. In practice, this means going through 6 levels filled with enemies and obstacles for the bombers to overcome, each with a boss at the end of each level, ultimately leading up to Grimclaw himself. Players will use lasers, bombs, and barrel roll their way through victory while trying to keep their allies alive, which is easier said than done. When each level is completed, players will be scored based on how many enemies they defeated, how many team members are alive, and if they have found the collectible WILD letters in each level. It's not all in one linear path though. There are some branching options for levels depending on what the player does. As an example, in the first level, one of the other bombers is being chased by enemies. If the player defeats the enemies in time, the survivor will challenge the player to fly through a small obstacle course. If they succeed, they go to a different level. It's a small thing, but it does give Wild Blue Skies a bit more life and some incentive to master each level in order to find all the secrets like this. If that sounds familiar to Star Fox players, well, the similarities don't stop there. Frankly, there's a line between paying homage to a game and then filing the serial numbers off it and trying to call it your own work. Wild Blue Skies, in some cases, plays almost beat for beat like its inspiration. The first level is a prime example. Players start by flying over an ocean, eventually reaching a destroyed city, and finding a flying challenge from a teammate, and then going to a boss fight. I replayed Star Fox 64 to be sure, and it's almost identical. While the levels and their progression is one thing, I think it could be forgiven if they took the controls from Star Fox, but they sadly don't. Flying the Blue Bomber ships feels uninspired and slow. These characters are ace pilots, but the most they can muster up is a barrel roll? It feels worse in open area combat scenarios when the enemies can follow the player and shoot them, but the player has no real way to get away from them other than turning or braking and praying. Expanding the moveset may have given the player more freedom to avoid enemies and give more spark to the combat. These sluggish controls are also a factor when trying to save allies. All the friendlies are made of paper and go down in a flash if they're not immediately saved. If they actually shot down enemies when I wasn't saving them, I might be less mad, but they don't carry their own weight, and it's hard to fight a war solo and babysit allies at the same time. Button assignments are also weird in Wild Blue Skies. The standard blaster fires a short-range laser burst, and spamming the button doesn't speed it up, as the ship seems capped at how fast it can fire. There is an auto-fire setting that can be turned on, which helped immensely, but it feels weird to have a setting to fix that issue. Charge shot and regular fire are also on separate buttons, which I found odd since most shooters leave it on the same button. So the combat never popped, and the story struggled as well since I also never felt any real draw to the characters. The cast is set up to be the closest brothers in arms and an unbreakable squad, but they feel more like coworkers? There's no dynamic between them, and there's no bond forged in combat that feels real. The voice actors are doing their best with what they have, but it doesn't feel like anything is there. I'm glad I gave Wild Blue Skies a chance, but honestly, I'm just disappointed. It's too similar to Star Fox in some ways, and in the places where it branches out, it doesn't measure up. Releasing so close to the actual Star Fox remake only highlights how much better Nintendo's work is. I want to like Wild Blue Skies more than I do, but there are other on-rail shooters out there that offer better experiences. It's tough to recommend this one from any angle. For me, Wild Blue Skies gets 4.5 slow barrel rolls out of 10. Like what you see? Check out more accessible interviews and reviews, as well as our favorite upcoming game trailers right here on GameCritics.com. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to be notified as soon as we post something new.